Yeah, you're breaking records.
Yeah.
You're looking for something to play that nobody else has. But now it's the opposite.
Hearing fucking bottle service girls come up to me and go, I don't even know what the song is. I'm like, heaven fucking forbid you spend 1 minute and 30 seconds hearing this fucking song you've never heard before.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human.
You know. All right, let's go, baby. Episode 81. We're back. We're back with the kid. It's the Party with Strategy podcast, a Strategy and Dolo show. Always a Strategy and Dolo show. Even if we're in an Uber, it's the Strategy and Dolo.
It's
like
always,
if we're together, that's just what it is.
That's it. That's
just what we do.
Always. That's all.
You know what I'm saying? It's a good time.
Absolutely.
And we got a special guest, DJ Little Martin.
Yay! Add in the studio.
Yeah, a little crowd cheering. The Instagram will come up. Maybe we'll get some lights, some post-disco music on.
That'd be dope. For the people who don't know, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Little Martin, from Manchester, England originally. Came to the States when I was 21, and I was up in the Northeast for over a decade, and then came down to Houston.
Where at Northeast?
I was in New York initially, and then ended up in Vermont.
Vermont.
Yeah.
Strategy's been to Vermont.
I have been to Vermont.
Not a huge fan of it.
It was a little wild. It was a little weird.
He's like, wow, Vermont? That doesn't really go together.
It was just a weird, there was a lot of like very outspokenly woke people.
Yeah.
But they just had never really seen a black person before.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not to get too much into politics. My politics are all over the place.
We're definitely not getting into politics because the last episode, all we talked about was Chinese spy balloons.
Yeah.
And this is a DJ episode.
But the weird thing with Vermont is, so when I moved there, Bernie Sanders was the mayor of Burlington, Vermont. That's where I
That would make sense.
Yeah. And Ben and Jerry's began there.
Mm-hmm.
Ice cream. That's actually kind of fire.
7th generation. You know, the toilet paper people, they were from there.
Okay, I'm not familiar with them. I'm a Charmin guy.
A little backstory, what happened was a lot of the, I guess, hippie rich kids, you know, that kind of came up 60s and 70s, there was a back to the land movement, you know, amongst, I wasn't there, but this is what I was told. And so they... You know, they were from Connecticut, New Jersey, you know, the tri-state area. And they started moving to Vermont and buying up land and living off the land.
Must be nice to use daddy's credit card to buy up a bunch of land and live off of it, right?
Yeah. So I think that's where that hippie progressive thing came from in Vermont. Because you leave the towns... And you're in rural, you know, they like their guns. They like, hunting. You know, it's right-leaning politics for the most part.
Yeah.
But in the populated areas, just like most places, really, it's to the left.
Yeah.
But it is. I'm not gonna judge, but there's very little in the years I was there, and even if I go back and visit, there's very little progress.
Yeah.
Because there's so many limits on what you can do and what you cannot do. And I heard you talk about Texas and Houston before and just how free it is down here. And
it is free. We do enjoy that.
It's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
And there's good and bad about both.
Of course.
Yeah.
We just like to make fun of people that are woke. That's our go-to.
Yeah. I like to talk a lot of shit. But you moved at 21 to New York.
Yeah. So I met this girl. She was interning she was living and working in a club I worked at in England, but she had interned for this record label in New York, and she had some contacts.
Time out real quick. Before you came to the U.S., you were DJing in England.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
when did you start DJing?
So I was about 17. I started DJing in clubs. I used to. The liquor laws were different back then. You know, it was 18, but we were going to clubs when we were 16. I mean, that probably happens here too in certain places.
Yeah, if you got a fake ID, you can get away with it.
Yeah. So but I was kind of a punker, new wave kid, and I was going to this like goth night every single Thursday religiously, and I was really into music, like obsessively into music, which I think should be a prerequisite.
We can
for
relate.
becoming a DJ.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
Well,
I do.
Once upon a time it was.
I
Now.
do wonder nowadays, why people get into it. But
TikTok mainly. That's the
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's a cool thing to do. It's so accessible now. It's just like it's like we talked about this before. Like being a DJ is like being a garbage man now.
Yeah.
It's just like an option.
Yeah.
You know.
But back in the day, it was like you were the weirdo who collected fucking music because you were obsessed. I can relate to that. Strategy can relate to that. Unfortunately, I don't think a lot of the younger guys can relate to it because music's so easily accessible that the motive can't just be the music because technically anyone can get access to anything at any time.
Yeah.
But I digress. So you're DJing, 17 years old, right?
Yeah.
What was the scene? It was goth. We used to go to a goth. I probably went more than Strategy. I probably took them once or twice to Neo.
Little vampire
bar in Chicago. I don't know if you've ever spent much time there, but
I know Smart Bar.
Smart Bar.
I'll talk about Smart Bar in a minute because that's part of the story. But,
for sure, I spent a lot of time in Smart Bar. There was a chapter in my life where I was into that, that new order and stuff like that, which I'd like to get into eventually too, because I know you have some history with New Order. So keep going. What was the scene like then? Can we put a date on it? Can we put a range, a circa?
So, like 83.
Okay.
And I was bugging the DJ every week. I'll play this, and I've been going for about a year. And he's like, hey, you know what? They used to decorate the place and have like slideshow visuals and all this, stuff they used to do. And he's like, I need help setting it up, carrying gear in, carrying it out. I'll train you to DJ, and I'll pay you £5 a night, and you'll drink for free. He's like, you're here anyway. So I was like, oh,
there it is. There you have it.
There it is.
But this guy,
I mean, starting contract for a DJ. I feel
this guy taught me so much stuff that I still use to this day about how to break records.
So was this guy playing mostly punk music or all?
It was sort of all over the place. He was.
Was it like post punk or like punk?
Yeah, no, this was 83. So he might play like Anarchy in the UK, Sex Pistol, but that would get a massive mosh pit going.
Yeah.
So you'd only play a couple of minutes of that, and then
before the.
But they'd play like Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax.
Kind of like it's almost like. Not freestyle, but freestyle influenced drum machine.
It was a real, true open format, but heavily towards the goth. Like I'm not watching that Wednesday thing right now, but I believe there's a song by the Cramps that's gotten really popular.
The Cramps, OG.
Yeah. So the Cramps would have been like we would play 5 or 6 Cramp songs a night on that night. Yeah, that Cramps were huge.
Is that technically garage though? Punk, or would you consider
that would
garage?
We call psychobilly, rockabilly.
Okay.
We call it. There was that was a scene in England too. There was
Greaser vibes.
like these sort of punk, 50s rocker punk thing that lasted about 5 minutes. But yeah, there was like Dexy's Midnight Runners, Come On Eileen. Yeah, that was a cheesy, song, but they had other stuff. They had like a cult following, where everyone wore like ripped denim, and that lasted like 3 months. And there was just this constant, that period of time, it was like, if you look at charts now from that period, it's like, wow, like it's all over the place.
That's almost like the original scenester, like hipster, like because when like I said, in like 07 to 2010, it kind of had a resurgence. At least I started noticing the resurgence, and like a lot of like the Crystal Castles, like that kind of stuff was like pulling.
I was listening to Cut Copy last night.
Oh, Cut Copy,
it's like
amazing. Yeah. So that's all right in that wheelhouse, right? So. But the throwback jams that everyone was playing were the post punk songs, because that was like kind of like what they wanted. They wanted like that CBGB's kind of vibe, like dirty early 80s New York East Side. You know what I mean?
No, I all that stuff. The Blondie and Ramones and Talking Heads, and I mean that's the commercials. There was so much of the stuff too.
For sure. For sure. But did you spend a lot of time in the Alphabet area? Where all the
New York?
So
again, because of this girl I was dating, she had a lot of connections, and at the time I remember Nell's was the hottest club in New York. Or the first time I came to New York in '88, and I remember like they opening the cab door and welcome Mr. Prendergast, and I'm like, Jennifer Lopez used to be a go-go dancer there, but,
is that right?
So she had connections and hookup. Plus the people I worked for were friends with the danceteria DJ Mark Kamens, who had a record label Powwow, and he was one that discovered Madonna and produced Madonna's first record, Everybody. And the club I worked at was the first venue.
Everybody, that was the one that was Jelly Bean, right? Or was
no, this is Mark Kamens.
Okay.
She dated Jelly Bean too.
But did he do a remix of that one?
He did.
Or
I mean, yeah, he definitely did Borderline, I think, and Lucky Star. But her first single was Everybody, and Mark Kamens was the producer.
I can't do the
Everybody.
It's like freestyle, kind of, right? Is that the one?
Yeah.
See, I guess I kind of call it all freestyle, but I think of like those stuttered drums and stuff like that, and that's kind of like. When I hear that music, that's what it reminds me of. So I say freestyle, which you might be like, no, I'm thinking of the vocals of freestyle. I'm thinking more of like the drum patterns, like the everything kind of had like a hard, not what is it, 909 probably? No, they were probably before the 909. What were they using? What was the drum machine?
Well, that one,
like 707.
It would definitely be in that sort of Shannon, let the music play kind of vibe, like pop. Dancey, New York. I mean, it was just like that was the sound.
New Order Confusion. I was just listening to it the other day, and those drums, whatever those drums were, whatever drum machine they used on that to me is that sound.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like a big tom or something.
Was that an 808? I don't know.
I think it might have been pre-808.
That was Arthur Baker and John Roby.
Okay.
And Arthur Baker is. Also produced Africa Bambaataa stuff.
Because that's what I was gonna say. It reminds me a lot of Perfect Beat. Like the toom toom toom. Was that the guy that was in the music video in the cab shopping the record to the club?
Did he have a beard and long hair?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I always wondered who is this guy like who's making it. Kind of it. What's your boy the BC Boys producer you love?
Rick Rubin.
Yeah.
He kind of gives me those vibes.
Yeah, no.
Very emphasized on the drum.
Absolutely. And, I don't know. There was Arthur Baker and John Roby always seemed to work together. They did a lot of Pet Shop Boys and stuff like that too. But
Pet Shop.
But Africa Bambaataa, that's the birth of like hip hop, really. Yeah. And you got this like big white guy, with a beard and long hair. It doesn't fit the narrative. The same as
Rick Rubin.
Sometimes the people behind the doors are.
I've had arguments with people because they. I remember getting into an argument about somebody about how house music was entirely black and dance music is entirely black and not to absolutely. It is. Predominantly based off, R&B, up-tempo R&B, but there's so many Latinos and there's so many other players that were involved
for sure.
At every step and all the big tracks.
I'm into that. I like that movement. Let's take it back.
The Latin Rascals. I always loved their edits that they would do of a lot of house music, but because normally you think of house music, you think like Ron Hardy and these people that were like. But they were the birth of it.
He
right?
was playing some out there shit. Like if you, unfortunately it's down now. But there used to be a website called Deep House Pages, and it had all this like old Little Louie tapes from '84 and just crazy like catalog on there. And I would these Ron Hardy mixes from Music Box, and it was the audio was awful, but
for sure
he was playing some wild, crazy shit.
Well, they were on a lot of drugs back then.
Yeah,
so I'm sure that
one of the not Bad Boy Bill.
Shouts to Bad Boy Bill.
He came later, but yeah.
one of these guys, there was
Probably Jack Master.
there was
a big one.
a 12-inch that had like 6 or 8 rhythm tracks on it from Italy.
Okay.
And these guys used to like sort of do like live re-edits with disco songs and stuff with this drum track in the background. But if you hear these drum track, it is the prototype Chicago house like jack track sound.
Yeah.
The rhythm, everything about these drum patterns. And again, I've gotten into arguments about people like, I think this Italian white guy had as much to do with the drum patterns from early Chicago house as much as anybody.
For sure.
Because everybody, you know how it was, everyone had access to the same 12 inches. It's not like now when you just,
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was also you had access to what you could get. So if they pressed so many copies of this version of it, you were holding gold. Yeah. And you had to watch it, make sure nobody digging your crates and steal the fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Alessandro something or other. I forget. Alessandro, it's an Italian thing.
Italo disco, I love Italo disco. That's
but this was literally just a drum track.
Yeah, but that was the one that everybody backed.
Yeah. But
I know there was a drum break from Super Duck drum breaks that in the like late '90s everybody was using in Indianapolis for like. It was like an 84 BPM, just something like that came on one of those scratch records. Yeah. But everybody ran that on the back of every time. It's like, yo, stop fronting and use your head. And it goes, down, down. I don't know if you know it, but anyways, it's a horn stab and then like an 808. But everybody would run that behind everything.
It's like the Baltimore sound or the New Orleans sound. Everybody, they
the Triggerman beat.
Everybody they latched onto, I think Baltimore is Sing Sing by Gaz.
Is that where it comes from?
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Well, Amen. The Amen Brother break is another one that people use a lot
for drum and bass.
For the drum and bass, right? They pitch to 45 and then just run.
Well, we're getting into super nerdy DJs.
Yeah. Well, this is fun to talk because
I like it. Because literally the last episode was crazy. Crazy we outside of DJing. This is a nice reel it back in.
Exactly. And I mean, essentially, this was a DJ podcast at once upon a time.
Yeah. Shout
out to Club Killers.
Yeah.
I used to. I mean, I was that nerd that studied the labels, that read the run out grooves, the scratching in the run out grooves, and then I'd see a name and then I'd see, this other, when I'd be shopping, I'd be like, that name, I've seen that name before on this, and you would buy things just off that.
Who did the, so I collect jazz records too. Yeah. And like with jazz, you'll see that you'll be like, okay, who did the bass on this? Oh, okay, Bootsy Collins is on this. So I'm going to listen to this, you know what I'm saying? Even though I've maybe never heard of the band that he did a project with or something. But yeah, the same like Bob James, like who was doing his drums. Those drums are fucking amazing. Yeah. Then you might find a Hubert Law's album or something that has the same drummer on it. So on, etc. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I digress. I know I miss that. And it's something that I try and explain to people that are younger than me that never got that. And I'm like, yeah, like it's so nice to get anything you want on your computer at any moment and you can sculpt this amazing set. But the simplicity of like finding a record and using that in your set is such a it's a beautiful thing.
Also, like the freedom of being able to do anything and have any song and just like the open-ended possibility of creation is cool, but it's sort of, I was talking about this with Brian Rhymes, like that almost it's too open and it's too free and it makes it kind of hard to create because you have so many options. If you're sort of boxed in with just these records that you have, now you have to be way more creative with these records. I was talking about like working at Stout and Bisbee was like play only radio songs. Like if you play anything that I don't like, you're fired.
Yeah.
And as a DJ, you're like, well, I want to do this and do that. But like just having those confines made me a better DJ because, okay, now I have to work on my craft within these parameters.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? I feel like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely. But if you don't know the sweat of being 30 seconds from that fucking record ending and not knowing what you're going to play next, and you're like, fuck. Because that was like another thing too, is like, yeah, you could hot mix through things, but sometimes, you want to go to the bar and grab a drink and something, and you forget that record's about to end. And if that record stops playing music, that's the most essential key, right?
Yeah.
But it's not easy to get the next record queued up, and sometimes you have to just throw in something.
Yeah, that's kind of a prerequisite, like no gap.
Yeah, just keep music
gaps.
playing at all times, for sure. Yeah. So you come to U.S. You spent some time in New York. What brings you to the South? How'd you end up?
So I was married, got divorced. My ex-wife got a nursing degree and got a job down in the med center, and I was coming down for about 3 years. I hated Houston.
Strategy can relate to that.
I can relate.
I would grab.
It's day by day.
I would grab my kids, and we'd head straight to Austin. Like this was like 99.
But what was it that you hated? Did it just feel like a different place?
It
You're
was
like,
ugly. It was flat. The people were just like
slow,
so slow. Like it's like I
some
just
things never change.
aliens. But you know, I liked Austin, and even you know, I mean, Austin's a cool thing now in 2023. But it was cool back then. I remember, like...
What year is this?
Dolo loves
99.
Austin. Loves Austin.
Yeah.
I've actually never been to Austin, and I don't plan on going.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I'm from a city, so it's not like I grew up, you know, surrounded by mountains and streams or anything. But, you know, the first time I came into Houston, George Bush, and coming down 59, I mean, it looks like war-torn Beirut coming down. It's like, what the fuck is this place?
Yeah. There's not
what is this shithole?
There's like nice building, but then like three shitty torn down warehouses, and then like a decent building. It's just like a weird.
I think it's probably been built up a lot more now too than it was.
Yeah.
I could imagine in the 90s it was pretty. It was still, you know. Well, okay, so like take for instance, Rice Military or Washington Street, right? Around that area, you'll see all these nice condos, and then you'll see a couple houses. You're like, okay, I know that's been here longer than 10 years.
It was all that down
Exactly.
Washington. It was a lot of used car, like buy here, pay here places. Like, you know, no money down. Your job is your paycheck is your exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what Washington was. There was only one club called the Social on Washington for a long time.
So would you say that the nightlife kind of built that area?
I'm trying to think what. Well,
because I would love to hear that, because I see these people go on the news and complain about the nightclubs.
no.
And I'm like, a lot of times these nightclubs build up these areas because
I'd say a lot of those what do you call them, those
high rises, apartments, complexes,
condos.
Well, those 4-story.
They're not quite high rises.
Yeah, high rise, not
townhomes.
I'd say it all started getting developed around the same time.
Okay.
You know, it's just kind of like Midtown. Midtown was not all those apartments and stuff either. Midtown was there was still remnants of the original Chinatown there. There was still a lot of warehouses. Still, like if you go in that neighborhood between West Gray and Dallas, there's still a bit sketchy there.
Yeah.
It was a lot of that. You know.
What year is this that you moved here?
I was coming in 99. I moved in 2002.
Okay.
So
2002, from a hip hop perspective, was an exciting time for Houston. They were really getting on the map.
Except I wasn't a hip hop DJ when I moved here.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So what were you a full time?
So that was a problem.
Yeah. Were you a full time DJ when you came to Houston? That was
more or less. Job? In the 80s. So I was from like I was playing hip hop in 85, mixed in with Chicago House, mixed in with Luther Vandross, D-Train. You played everything.
Love D-Train.
So as soon as Eric B came out, I was playing it. As soon as Schoolie D from Philadelphia came out, I was playing it.
PSK.
Ice-T's album, 6 in the Morning, playing it.
Those are hardcore gangster rap. Gangster rap. That's the original gangster rap. PSK, they say.
Beastie Boys. So Def Jam was it was like a cult in England, or certainly in Northern England. Just this purple label. It was purple originally, then it went to black, and then it went back to purple. But there was like the Run DMC and Beastie Boys. We assumed they were black. because it didn't really.
Oh, it's because you weren't really seeing it on TV.
Yeah, no, there was no.
There's 3 Jews.
Pictures on it. I mean, it was just this purple sleeve and purple label Def Jam. It didn't sound that.
Was this like a Def Jam promo, or was this a white label?
It was the regular. But there were those original the vinyl was heavy too. It was like quality.
I have a couple original impressions, but they're Def Jam from the '80s, and I for sure it's not like that flimsy plastic vinyl.
No,
it's like
the Chicago stuff was junk. They were melting down. There was like bits of label like in and like it was
yeah.
They've been known to cut corners in Chicago.
Def Jam probably had a bigger budget than these guys working on it. If you've ever been to the Old Tracks Records,
I know.
Halstead with the lady, it was seedy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's even around anymore. But
it's been sold a few times. I think there's still court cases going on about it because none of those guys ever saw any royalties or nothing. And you have something like Marshall Jefferson House Music Anthem, which is still getting played out like 40 years later. The guy's probably never gotten a penny from it. He's gotten gigs from it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys aren't really well off because I've gotten a chance to play with some of those guys, and I'm not talking shit, but you can tell they didn't really get their just diligence for how big it was around the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean it really. Just to give you an idea, like we're playing this This is I moved on now from when I first started DJing, and I'm in this other venue, New Orders Club, and this is I'm there in '86, and it's much more like Black American dance music is the format, but BPMs are still all over the place.
Yeah.
But this guy comes to the booth, and he has these two 12 inches. He's like, here, check these out. And one of them was Adonis, No Way Back, on Trax Records.
Adonis, I love that.
And the other one was
that
Farley Jackmaster Funk, Love Can't Turn Around. Mm-hmm. We were playing the vocal was a bit, we weren't really feeling it. We flipped it over. It was the other side, Dub Can't Turn Around, and it had this this horn, this, and in the club it was like, but so you had the D-Train sound, which was very New York, very polished, like super slick. But this Chicago stuff, it was like almost like punk rock dance music. It was like just like recording on 4 tracks, like
raw,
just basic, 808 and a bass synth, and just this stuttering voices, jack,
Mm-hmm.
just this. And this club was this big warehouse thing, and it just sounded so fucking good. It sounded like nothing else, and so can't really.
Do you think it was mastered differently? Do you think the bass hit harder because it wasn't like back then, right? When people were mastering, they left that room for the dynamic range, right?
Yeah.
Where this is kind of more just compressed to just pushed out.
I really don't know. I couldn't answer that.
Yeah.
I'm not really an engineering. I just know that it sounded like nothing else. And so there was only one record store in Manchester that dealt with dance music imports. But the next day we were down there like, we need more of this. And it turned out it had been a scene that had been bubbling in not just in my hometown, but in a lot of towns around England. It was like the black youth clubs had been listening to this music for about 6 months, and they were basically breakdancing to it, kind of breakdancing. Like these young kids, they were too young to go to clubs, were really into this music, and kind of like we get the credit for kind of breaking it and playing it, but it had been bubbling under. But this guy obviously thought, these guys need to be playing this stuff.
The dude who brought you the records.
Yeah.
And so he brings you these records. You're in the club working. Are you previewing it in your headphones? You're queued up listening to it like, oh, this is how I'm gonna play.
Just kind of needle jump through. And I was like,
that's so fire. That's exciting because like if someone comes to you with their fucking phone out suggesting a record today, you want to kick them in the face and throw their phone in the toilet.
Yeah.
Back then, someone comes to you with a record, it's like, oh, hell yeah. Let me listen to this. Oh, this shit's fucking hot.
And then you hear it on that big-ass system, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you're breaking records.
Yeah.
You're looking for something to play that nobody else has. Here or now, not here, but now it's the opposite. It's like you don't want to stray too far off course and play some shit nobody's ever heard.
Right.
Even if it's good, they're gonna be like, what's something I want to know?
Yeah.
Oh God, hearing fucking bottle service girls come up to me and go, I don't even know what the song is. I'm like, heaven fucking forbid you spend 1 minute and 30 seconds hearing this fucking song you've never heard before. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think even back then, like these clubs I happened to be playing at were the alternative to the mainstream. Like if you were to go, they'd be playing like Culture Club or whatever was in the top 40 charts at the time. I couldn't be playing this stuff there.
Okay.
But it was happened to be in like alternative or cooler venues.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit more wiggle room.
That's exciting. So the first time you had ever heard house music was on a system? Was that?
Yeah, that night.
That's insane.
I mean, it turns out we'd been playing this other track by JM Silk.
Jack Your Body?
No, it was Shadows of Your Love, I think it was called. But it was very well produced, very polished. But it was Steve Silk Hurley, who Manny Fresh, who was
Legendary
the producer for all the New
Cash Money.
Orleans, Juvenile,
Cash Money Records, everything,
all that late 90s shit. He was the engineer for Steve Hurley in Chicago.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I had no idea.
I would have never in a million years.
And there was another guy, I don't know, you know Mantronics?
Yeah.
Okay, so I ran in.
What was that song? Something beat.
He had Ladies, Needle to the Groove, Baseline.
It was something beat. Because me and Architects is actually a Mantronics. He fucks with Mantronics.
Yeah.
So like, Mantronics also DJ Screw. That was his first record he ever screwed. But yeah.
So I ran into Manny Fresh, and because when I would hear this New Orleans stuff, Hot Boys and Back the Ass Up and all that stuff, the rhythm really reminded Mantronics was Latino. The guy that rapped was a black guy, but the guy doing the music was a Latino, and it had that. It was like had a freestyle vibe to it, but it was more like 100 BPM. But I asked Manny Fresh, like, do you ever fuck with Mantronics? And he's like, yeah, I did. I was like, because
You put the two together, you could hear it?
he's like, yeah, like that was.
He engineered that?
No, but he was
an influence.
influenced.
Oh, yeah. I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, Mantronics, in my opinion, was one of the first to give that riding hi-hat. That's so big with the trap music is like that. Mantronics did that, right?
He produced Tila Rock, Just Ice, which is another classic New York track, and there's a few others that he had a production on. But
did he do all Tila Rock stuff? Did he do all the Tila Rock stuff, or just that?
No, I don't. Well, I don't. He did the album, I think, but his sound was always like nobody else's. It just didn't, and it was big in England. He was a superstar in England. They loved him. So, don't know where he is now.
Mantronics?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him.
So when you went to New York, you sort of had a foot in the door kind of thing with this girl you were dating. She had some connections and things. So you built your brand, your DJ name. Have you always been Little Martin?
Well, I've been, So I backtrack a little bit. I'm working in this sort of semi-goth Thursday night. The DJ is also doing Fridays. It's a different theme on Fridays, like a Motown night on Fridays.
Not to get off subject, but just before I forget this thought, what were you making at that Thursday night in that time?
The first £5 a night and free drinks. So
Still
£5. That would be
Manchester.
Yeah, that would be about $7 a night.
But in today's money, what would you say? Like 70?
$9?
No, okay, so it's not a much big difference.
No, with inflation over the years, maybe like $35 back then. Maybe?
Yeah, maybe $50.
$50.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's about where I started.
Yeah,
$50.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, not to get off subject. I was just curious because I've heard people talk about how like certain DJs were still making $300 a night in the 80s, and now.
Well, I do know that legend child Mike Snow when I first moved here, Mike Snow was the hottest DJ in town, and he was getting 500 a night in 2002.
In 2002.
And
2002.
This is still the going.
How fucked? Anyone listening that's a DJ, think about that.
Yeah.
500 in 2002.
21
and
years
these
later.
motherfuckers driving around in their. You know what they're driving around in.
You know what they're driving.
Still paying you $500 20 years later.
When a bar
fucked
will make
up is
60
that?
to 100 grand in a night.
Yeah.
Now, the couple of things happened. We got laptops and we got LimeWire, and we were able to get the vinyl expenses back then were crazy.
Yeah.
You had to buy needles.
And if you weren't on like a good record pool, and I was never on a record pool, so I always had to go buy my shit. So to spend $150 a week in vinyl was nothing. Like that was if you wanted to stay current. Like obviously you could get like Lethal Weapons and stuff like that, where you would get like 8 tracks, like the white labels. You could get like 8 of the newest, hottest stuff, and then save some money. But to get anything that had an instrumental to like do a proper mix, you had to fucking buy 2 copies of it.
I remember. Yeah, I remember buying double imports and like $25. Like it was insane.
Yeah.
But a double pack. But yeah, so the DJ's expenses technically came down. Also, I was told that back then everywhere charged a cover, and the cover was to help pay for the DJ.
Yeah, because bottle service wasn't such a thing back then. That wasn't until like 2010s. I really feel like that really kicked off. So people would go in and drink some beers, have a few shots, but they weren't spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's. I think we fucked I think technology fucked the DJ, because as it is nice to just show up with a backpack and do your thing and leave, or in some cases with a USB drive and walk in and out. We made it too readily accessible to where like the DJ isn't as, I mean, it's important, but like it's a dime a dozen now. It's not like oh, I need somebody who's got a good sound, who's got the records to play, or who has the capability of playing them. Now it's like anybody can hit a sync button or know whatever the 20 songs we're all playing is and become a DJ. A lot of bartender DJs out there right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I mean, again, if they have the love of the music, I mean, we all had to start somewhere. But that's, for me, that's got to be, you're getting into it because you want the celebrity and the other trappings that go with it.
I don't think the celebrity is there anymore. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think it is. And I think the fact that we don't see as many out of town guys popping up like it used to be, like every night there's somebody somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And that's in that circuit. I don't really see that circuit. Maybe it's a Houston thing, but I don't really see that circuit anymore. And I think that was like the last of the celebrity DJ.
You're talking like the top tier open format.
The scam artist guys or whoever it is. Those were like the last celebrity DJs. Now we're all kind of residents. We're happy to have our bills paid, but like we're kind of just back to just being the weird guy in the corner playing the music.
Yeah, I mean, I always bring up all the DJs I've heard over the years. AM is still has to be in the conversation as the greatest of all time, and
for sure with open format, without a doubt.
Yeah, and he absolutely inspired me to switch. I was playing still vinyl and some burned CDs, but he helped inspire so many people to buy laptops, to download Serato. To convince remember that there was that Rain Serato mixer,
the 57.
It was
57.
Like
the black and gray one,
or something when it came out. It was unheard
I fucking
of.
hated that mixer. I hated that.
I still have it at the crib back home.
But the clubs were buying that.
Yeah,
that was crazy because back then mixers were $200.
Yeah,
this thing was $1,200.
The Pioneers, the 600 was the one that everybody
had.
The
Serato box built in. You plug right into it. You had your cue points. The shittiest like breakable buttons. It was like a button on like a phone. It wasn't like a pad that you could hit. It was like a fucking.
And then I could never figure out how to make it had like an echo in it, but like I could never figure out how to program it with my fucking.
You had to do like a Sega Genesis code on it. It had a little joystick on it even. You had to like hit C3, go up on the joystick. Left.
I had a residency that I played every Friday and Saturday night for like 2.5 years I had that mixer, and I never once figured out how to use the effects on it at all. I just ended up just crossfading. I'm a big pioneer. So I started with the Newmark. Then my first real mixer was the 600, and ever since the 600, I could never like get myself to buy a different mixer because I just like
the silver one.
the silver one that had the little tap. You know what I'm saying? It was like
the sound quality was a little dubious on that.
Yeah, it sounded better when you're redlining that one for some reason. But you're probably a Rain guy, right? You're British.
I trust me. I love Pioneer.
Yeah,
but what I don't like is the monopoly they have and how they.
Allen and Heath is big out there, right? You guys like Allen and Heath?
Yeah, oh yeah, that stuff's amazing. But I mean, Pioneer is amazing stuff.
It's ergonomic.
But I don't like how they, the whole record box DJ.
They're
just trying to like own everything. Like,
Yeah, I mean, them as a company, I'm not necessarily saying they're the greatest, but I think it's. To me, that mixer always just made the most sense ergonomically.
As an instrument.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how to play that.
Yeah.
The
and everything is like positioned where it should be. It makes sense when I'm using it, Whereas sometimes like an Allen and Heath or a Rain, I love the sound of them. I can hear a difference, but it just my brain doesn't function like that. I don't know.
Well, Pioneer, it was the effects that really, that's what made people want it so bad.
Yeah,
like, none of the other mixers had the
sampler.
Just all the effects on a Pioneer mixer.
Like the roll, you told me you used to use the roll.
So yeah, when I would play with vinyl, that was like a trick to like get out of a record that you only have one copy of, right?
Yeah.
So you'd program the loop in it, and then you'd turn it off, and then you play the record, and then you could cue the loop to hit when you hit the button, hit the loop, and then it kind of like layer that, and then you can mix your other one out of it, and then pull it out.
Okay.
Little trick, but that was like, it was really tedious and annoying, but it was like the only way that I knew how to fucking mix it out of it, because if the track didn't have an 8-bar intro and you only had like that snippet of the beat and you wanted to do a long continuous play mix, that's what you had to do.
Well, I didn't know that, but that's a pretty cool way of making it happen.
Yeah,
like that.
There was a short era where if you're switching Serato boxes in the club, you're the next DJ to come on. The guy before does a roll to roll out of the thing, unplug the Serato. The roll is going. It's just a 4-bar loop of whatever you had, and then you plug yours in. You're the only guy that I've ever seen successfully know how to do that roll. Like every time someone else did the roll, it fucked up. They would unplug the Serato and the sound would just cut out.
Well, that's probably what it's from. I mean, the roll is a much easier way of doing it. I will say that, because the other one, like, you had to, like, if you hit it like a millisecond off beat to trigger it, you would hear like that little double, that like a brr, brr, brr. You know what I'm saying?
You all didn't know about the Uggs Out Y cable thing?
Whoa, talk to me. I'm listening.
just
play a song off iTunes.
Yeah.
Oh no, we didn't have iTunes in those days.
We like a little high stress situation.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's nothing like a good start to your set, like a high stress mix into this shitty looped 4-bar roll.
It makes you feel alive a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of guys who've done it way more in depth. But the PA sets, like what you were saying, where they might have it programmed into a sampler or whatever the case is, and running that over, to do those long blends.
Yeah.
And that's kind of probably where it came from, because growing up in Indianapolis, like, the scene was very much a blend city. It wasn't until I got to Chicago where I like kind of got away.
So what
from
year would that be?
Like the late 90s,
okay,
early 2000s.
Yeah. The reason I asked, the first time I ever heard a live blend was a dancehall reggae DJ did Mary J. Blige a cappella over a dancehall instrumental, and it blew my mind.
I think a lot of it originated with New York. Not OG Ron C. The youngest in charge, what was it? Ron G. He used to do mixtapes, him and Kid Capri, where they would take 3 turntables and they would run one instrumental on one, and then, like, let's say if it was like the drums from what the fuck is the drum that they used? The one that they ended up using for Real Love, Mary J. Blige, because a lot of her first album was Ron G influence.
Sample?
Yeah, it was a drum from the Audio 2.
Okay.
The audio
Top Billin'
Top Billin'.
Yeah.
So they would take that drum and put it over a Mary J. Blige vocal and then blend into something else. And that was like the whole thing.
How did you know that that's what they were doing? Because I can remember listening when I first started DJing. I mean, this is even 2009, but even up until then, I'd listen to the radio and I'd hear they were probably playing an edit of something that was some acapella over some other beat, and then they mix into something else. But I'm trying to figure it out listening to it. I'm like, what are they doing? Is there 3 turntables? Is this an edit? Like, what? How is this happening? Like, how did you know?
For me, it just took time, like researching, like figuring out, like how the fuck are they doing that? Because like I understand what it is, you know, blending a record to the next one. But I'm like, how does that actually make sense? So the first time I saw like some crazy shit. You ever heard of DJ Trixie? Probably DJ Trixie from he's like a drum and bass guy.
Okay.
He would do a 6 turntable set. He's from England, and I found on DJ Mag.
An octopus?
It must have been. I found it on DJ
6
Mag.
turntables with vinyl.
Yeah, with vinyl.
Sounds.
DJ
He's
Trixie.
using
My God.
his dick?
I don't know, but I remember seeing in DJ Mag and them like explaining how he does it, and I think they even put out like a video about it. But that was like on the next level shit. I mean,
Yeah.
Carl Cox does 4.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy we had at Underground?
Ron.
No, Roger Sanchez.
Roger Sanchez.
4 turntables.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who have perfected it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just, it's kind of unnecessary. I feel like unless
Yeah.
you're known for that, why put yourself through that torture?
There's some of the like house techno guys that would do stuff on Tractor. Does anyone even use Tractor anymore? But
Tractor's out.
Tractor's out.
but he
With that and Torque.
he has like he'll have 3 faders up at all times, and there's a lot of rhythm loops going on, and you actually don't hear new tracks come in and go. Luciano is his name. He blew my mind. I really it sounded like you said, unnecessary, but like, wow, like whatever it was, a 3-hour, 4-hour set, but I was fascinated. Like, it was just relentless percussion for the whole time, and you didn't know where one song began, one ended. But you know, that's another style, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get back to the timeline a little bit, because I have a question. I asked you, we straight off, like when you were in New York, did you feel like, or when you were in Manchester, did you feel like you built up a little name for yourself? You had a thing going, right?
Yeah. So so I worked at New Order's club. New Order at the time, I was a fan in high school, but I wasn't like sweating to go work for New Order. It was just a weird set of circumstances that they had an opening, and a friend of mine's girlfriend at the time was the bar manager at New Order's club, and she said, I know this guy Lil Martin. That wasn't my name. I didn't even have a name. I didn't have a DJ name. It wasn't really. You just use your name. You just use.
Well, you didn't have an Instagram handle to have a
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So she knew this other guy that was 6'4" or whatever, and she used to call him Big Martin and me Little Martin to differentiate, you know. And
Because that was my first question when I heard your name was Lil Martin. I'm like, you're not that small. I mean,
yeah. So
there's a Big Martin.
I got the gig. A flyer came out and it said DJ Lil Martin, so I kept it.
There it is. There you have it.
But New Order were they were a big deal at the time. This was the mid. They were like at the peak. They actually they're coming for a tour of Texas, only Texas and New Orleans next month.
Really?
And everything's completely sold out except for San Antonio. They're doing a 10,000 seater in San Antonio. It sold out before the pre-sale sold out. So yeah, they still got a couple of thousand left, and it's a 10,000 seater in San Antonio. So, but they were a big deal. So that was sort of. I was 18.
Are they from Manchester?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was 18, so sort of instant celebrity in Manchester. But then the house scene started gaining some traction, and then all the magazines and media was based in London, but they started traveling up to Manchester to cover what was going on. They were more into like, they call it rare groove, but it was like the James Brown funk sound. It was a totally different scene down there. There was no internet or anything. It was just like each place has its own scene. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
That's crazy. But yeah, that's we were into the up-tempo dance house music. They were down into the funk.
Yeah.
So they were coming up to, you know, cover it and see what was going on. So I was appearing in like national magazines, and you know, the guy that really took me under his wing, a guy called Mike Pickering, and he had a big hit over here in the 90s called Moving On Up. It was a dance track.
Oh, it's
M
early...
People. Yeah.
M People, okay.
Yeah. But he had been, you probably heard of that 80s band ABC, Don't Shoot That Poison Arrow.
I know the song that not like
and
that
that's
one.
the look of love.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
He was sort of
Doing that, we're gonna get a copyright strike.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
he was a fringe member of them, and I think he moved away, and then they blew up. They were like a big deal for a while. So I think he saw this opportunity. I wasn't trying to milk the situation, but I think he saw its potential, and you know, wasn't going to let this one get away. So he was very aggressive about the promo and the marketing, and like really kind of using this. And he did it. He did a great job. He ended up being A&R for like CBS or something. He was the guy that signed a guy called Calvin Harris. You know, he was like he did all right, and Kasabian, I think, and he did that Ting Tings, That's Not My Name.
Oh, wow, that's a big record.
So he's done some major stuff, but he was also going back and forth to New York almost monthly at the time, and bringing back me these tapes from the radio, these WBLS and Kiss, and I could not wait to get to New York. I could not.
Even though you had some shine in Manchester, you're working at New Orders Club, and you're the guy now, and you're feeling. I mean, I got to imagine you're like, damn, like I'm kind of the man right now. You still, even though that was all working out and bubbling and whatnot, you were still like,
you had
there's
a goal
bigger and better fish to fry, kind of thing.
No, I just wanted to go and spend time in New York. I actually didn't intend on moving at all. I was totally happy where I was. It wasn't like but I came over and got in this relationship, and we're going. She couldn't live and work in England. I couldn't live and work in the US, and we're going back and forth. And eventually, we didn't get married so I could get a green card, but we had to. It came to a point. It was 2 years. Like we either have to split up
or really
get
go
married.
for it.
So then that's how we ended up in Vermont, at her parents' place, and
So at that time in Manchester, were you guys? You said you were playing hip hop, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, I mean, because I think like early hip hop, a lot of it was like Malcolm McLaren, right? He was from England.
They had the Buffalo Gals,
and I feel like he kind of like if you look at those old BBC documentaries about hip hop, like when they would like catch it in the early stages, right? 82, 83, whatever. It was hosted by him.
Yeah, I mean the whole breakdance thing, all that. We call it Electro. You might
like Planet Rock kind of stuff.
Yeah, but that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There was like 1,000 records just like that.
For sure.
That was Hashim Al Nafish. That was a big when they used to do the DJ contest, the world scratching.
Yeah.
Al Nafish, that it's time.
Yeah.
Even the guys, the original guy behind the Detroit techno sound, Juan Atkins, he had a track called Clear by Cybertron, which was used by Missy Elliott in Lose Control, I think.
I mean, didn't Electro start from who were those guys? The Tour de France. What was
Kraftwerk? Yeah,
Kraftwerk. They were from England, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it was Africa Bambaataa or Arthur Baker or whoever who's like, yeah, we need to do this. But one of those hip hop documentaries goes into it, but it's like, yeah, we need to do this.
Yeah. But
again, it was just a crazy creative time, and I didn't realize at the time necessarily what I had. When I said, yeah, I'm the man and stuff, but now I look back and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I was 18. It was just
at the time things are happening so fast. You're just kind of going.
I'm just trying to relate from like moving from Chicago to a new place.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, I've built my name up here, this city. I've put all this work in. It's a little scary to go But if it's like so new and you didn't really put in so much work in terms of like building your name, it's almost like, all right, I did this, but now it's time, I'm going to New York. This is where all this cool music is coming from. Like, that's the spot, right?
Yeah, good or bad. I've never been like super aggressive about my career.
Okay.
I've always just had an opportunity comes my way.
Yeah.
And I do it to the best of my ability, and then it's always led to other things. I've never been... I think at one time, like in the 90s, when I was in Vermont in particularly, and I saw the whole rave thing really blew up in the UK, and worldwide, it was just blowing up. And I saw people, like kids on my street were having hit singles and stuff, and I was like, wow, I really moved away at the wrong time. And I think I was like a real FOMO type situation, and I could be you might have heard Sasha and Digweed.
Yeah, of course.
So I mean, he won the when they first used to do the DJ best DJ in the world chart, top 100.
Okay.
Sasha was like won it for the 3 years in a row, but he used to come to the club. I DJ'd that and was in the crowd.
No shit.
So it was like I felt like I really kind of screwed up. But then now, a few decades later, Sasha's still doing good, but a lot of them are like plumbers and electricians, and I'm not saying that they hate their lives or anything. I was saying, like,
maybe DJing, the money wasn't as there as it is now for like your not run of the mill DJ, but for lack of better words, right? So like making it a living, either you really made it, or you just kind of like go on to the next chapter in your life.
Yeah. So I think there was a lot of that happened. So now I look back and I was like, it's what it is. I'm happy. I'm still playing relevant current music, and
for sure.
Yeah.
So when you came to Houston now, what brought you here?
So I was traveling down to see my kids, and for 3 years, and then 9/11 happened. They'd fly up. Southwest Airlines had a unescorted minor program, which was really cool too. As long as there was no changes, like they would basically babysit the kids between two hubs. And but after 9/11, I was like, they're not going to fly by themselves anymore. So I started saving up, and I sucked it up, and I came down here, and wow, it was horrible. It was really horrible.
Yeah.
So previously, I was dating that girl, and she had connections in New York. She knew Joe Shanahan, who at the time was the owner of Smart Bar in Chicago.
Okay.
And she was trying to get me out there to get a gig there. At the time, they did not. I'm not saying they didn't know what house was. This was '88, but Smart Bar was very alternative, kind of New Order, Front 242 type vibe. They weren't playing any house back then at all. So I think
in those years, house was more of a South Side thing.
Yeah,
and it was part of the Metro, right? So they probably had bands.
Yeah, they would have, and then
there, so that
like they do now. An artist comes, and if they have like an after party, they can do down.
So I think that was part of the. I think New Order used to play there, and that was the whole connection with this guy Joe.
Did you ever play Neo? No, or did you ever play Neo? Neo had been around forever, but yeah,
I did play Smart Bar years later.
Okay,
But yeah, so I moved down here. I knew nobody except my ex-wife, and she'd remarried, and they lived in Katy. And I'd sold my car because I figure. I had a job at the Four Seasons bartending, lined up, and I was like, "Oh, you're gonna kill it, Four Seasons, all the high rollers. You're gonna make $500 a night, no problem." Man, I was getting all the shitty shifts, all the, the people in the wait staff, bartenders, they were sharks. They knew I was green. Like they knew as soon as they saw someone at the host stand, they knew if they were going to make money off that person or not.
It's
And so
cutthroat. Like the high-end service industry is cutthroat.
swoosh.
Yeah.
And I was left with all the scraps. And I was getting behind on my rent. I was getting behind on child support. I had no friends, knew nobody. And
Were you looking for gigs? Were you like actively?
I mean, I was
DJ?
trying to make press packs and mix CDs and hand them out. And I mean, you're pissing against the wind with that shit. You're wasting your fucking time.
Yeah.
At the end of the
It's
day,
funny, it takes you a long time to because I spent a lot of money on EPKs and all this other shit, and then now being on the other end of it, where like I get these, I'm like, I don't give a shit about this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you drink with me, maybe I'll know who you are.
Come out to the club.
the end of the day is fucking connection.
Yeah.
It's about. I read somewhere once, serendipity doesn't happen on your couch. You have to get out.
Yeah.
And that's how it happened. And I wasn't even looking for it. I was lonely and sad. And I used to go see this. It was a place in Montrose that had a live Latin jazz band on Mondays. And I really liked that. Tiny little place, like going there on Mondays. And I met a bunch of people. And one of them's like, what do you do? I was like, well, bartending right now. I'm supposed to be a DJ, but I ain't got any work. So... So he's like, well, come. Like, I work at this place in Midtown. It's where Christian's Tailgate is now on Bagby, and it was called Seven Lounge. And he was like, yeah, come down, talk to the guy. So I went down, and we got talking, and then, I mentioned New Order. He's like, New Order? I was like, yeah. It was a few years back when I used to work. He's like, when can you start? He's like,
Beautiful.
Wait, so did he let you play that kind of stuff then?
I mean, well, initially, so what happened was this Club 7 had been the hottest. It was the first venue in Midtown, the first. It had been the hottest place, but it had gone off the boil. Another place called Red Door had just opened, and they had no cover charge. 7 Lounge was $7 to get in. So everyone was... I think Red Door might have started the no cover charge thing because I believe up until that point everyone charged a cover. So I started going up the boil. Let me have a gig. I was playing my cool house music for like 3 Fridays in a row, whatever, and then we got to bring in promoters. So they brought in these Vietnamese promoters, and back then, totally different. The Vietnamese, it were gangbangers. I mean, it was like 2 weeks later, somebody got shot dead outside the club, and that was the end of it. So that was the end of my residency, but doors already started to open.
Yeah. People heard you play.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing was like, we got promoters, we got to start playing hip-hop. And at the time, 50 Cent in the club, like, it's like Bad Bunny this past year?
Yeah.
It was like that.
Yeah.
It was like, as soon as you finish playing it, people would be running up saying, can you play in the club?
Yeah, I remember that.
And
Big
I remember that Orange label, right? Vinyl.
I think I was getting 200 or 300 for the gig, but at the time I was waiting tables. I was working a double, like lunch and dinner, and maybe making 100 if I was lucky. And I was like, okay, I got to play 50 Cent, and I make 3 times that. Okay,
So be it.
There it is.
Right?
Yep.
so that was the beginning of my prostitution, if you will.
It is. That's
Selling
exactly
your ass.
what it
Yeah,
is.
that's pretty much what
exactly
it is.
What it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And here we are.
Yeah.
But I always look at it like this. Even though sometimes I don't always agree with what I have to play, and though I do love hip hop, and I started as a hip hop DJ, just the repetitiveness of playing the same shit over and over.
Yeah.
I still would rather be doing that than shoveling.
I'm sure Tiesto goes through, he's like, fuck, I gotta play fucking, The Business again. You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
I'm over this shit. I'm
Well,
only getting fucking $250,000 for this gig. Fuck this shit.
Yeah.
Right.
And then even like artists, like rappers, they'll go on stage and they'll be like, man, do I have to fucking, like 50 Cent probably doesn't want to do In the Club ever again or even hear it, But that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I was at a wedding a couple of weeks ago, and the wedding DJ played every single cliche imaginable in a row without fail. Cool and the Gang Celebration, Black Eyed Peas, Got a Feeling. You know, We Found Love, Rihanna, Dancing Queen, you name
September?
it. September. He had I play it sometimes, but there's the Salt and Pepper, Push It, redrum of Neil of Sweet Caroline.
Oh, yeah.
Every single one in a row. But you know what? This guy had a group of 100 plus people that didn't know each other from fucking 8 years to 80 dancing for an hour and a half. And I was like, you know what?
Can't even hate on it.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can do a wedding.
Yeah.
I recently did like the little after party for my cousin's wedding, and she's like, I don't want no corny shit. She's like, I know you DJ in the nightclubs. I want you to do what you would do. So I'm like, all right, cool. 2 songs in. Everybody wants September.
Yeah.
Everybody
Aunt
wants
Ethel in the corner is like, I can't get to this.
Right.
shit.
And it's the only, like, you have to play those songs. There's a reason that those are the songs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what
and
it is.
if you look at it from an energy perspective, it's kind of a beautiful thing. Even though it's fucking corny as hell and I fucking cringe just hearing the names of those songs. Watching that whole room move together of people that don't go out. You know, when we play for clubs, like, these are people who are intentionally going out to party. A lot of these people that go to the wedding are just the fucking cousin of someone and they don't even want to be there. But then to see them get down, like, it's a nice thing, you know?
Yeah, it was cool.
For sure. So at what point did the tide start to turn for you, and you're kind of like, all right, well, maybe Houston's not the worst place in the world?
So
What are you talking about? It never changed. He still hates it.
Yeah, so again, the whole serendipity thing, I had this girl I'd been seeing in Vermont, and she was coming down. I had no friends, no options, no nothing. I ain't getting nothing. It's dry.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited about this girl coming. So excited. The night before she's coming,
You manscaped? You were ready?
She calls and tells me, hey, I'm seeing this guy. I don't think it's a good day.
Oh.
Yeah, blah, blah. I'm bummed out. I just want to sit home and do fucking nothing.
Yeah.
But
Eat some
earlier in the day, someone had given me
Right.
this flyer for this party in Montrose on Commonwealth. And it's like 1 o'clock or something. And I'm like, fuck it.
AM?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go out. So it was like a 10-minute walk. So I set off walking. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I didn't have a car for a year in Houston. I was riding the bus. Because I'd sold my car because I've got this Four Seasons gig, okay, that I'm going to be making $500 a night.
Yeah.
And then I'm not making shit. So I got no car. Fucking, I can't even go see my kids in Katy. It's like fucking.
And you'd think Houston being the 3rd largest city that it is like a
infrastructure
walkable
for transportation.
place. It is not. You
No.
need a car here.
Yeah.
No.
You could get away
Trust
without
me.
a car in Chicago, in New
Oh,
York.
yeah.
I had a bike that I had a badass lock. It's several times you could see people had tried to cut through the lock. They didn't get anywhere. The 3rd time, they even got my bike.
Oh my
So I had no bike, no woman, no car,
And
like no future.
How old are you at this point, if you don't mind me asking?
What was it? 2002? I don't know. I'm not. Like maybe late 30s.
Okay.
Yeah. Late
Okay.
30s. Yeah, it's not going good.
It's not
But
good.
so I meet this random English guy. The party's over, and he's coming down the stairs, and I ask him like, "What's going on?" He's like, "It's over." He's an English guy. We instantly hit it off. We end up staying up talking about music and all the rest of it till about 8 in the morning. At this point now, I'm doing this hip hop gig, once or twice a week. I might have a couple of nights a week now. And he's like, "Hey, basically," he said, "let's just do a small party, like music we like, And it began, we did one, and there was like 30 people there. Each one was getting bigger and bigger. It became like, it was a monthly thing, but we'd have 1,000 people there each month. It's
awesome.
called Rent, and we were winning awards in the Houston Press. And
Okay. And
That-
what kind of music are you playing?
that was the format was that sort of disco house, French house, DJ Gregory, Bob Sinclair. There was a lot of Latin house back then too, which was I found out that works really well in Houston. You know, Afro Medusa, Pasilda, all these, anything with a kind of a salsa piano in it, house music was killing it. And it was nothing really mainstream at all. There may be some stuff that might be top 40 over in the UK, but certainly nothing mainstream here. But the reason we're doing it is because I was making a living playing this top 40 hip hop, and I just wanted to have fun once a month playing this stuff. And it was genuinely from here. It was no other motivation. I wasn't trying to throw a cool party or make money or anything like that. But it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it became about the money, you know, because we were decorating, we were bringing in DJs, so now we're putting like, you know, $5,000 of our own money into it. So now we're in a situation where we gotta make this money back, and
did that kind of ruin it?
It totally ruins it.
It always ruins it, but it's so hard to start something. You start something from the heart, and then it becomes something. And you're like, I don't want money to ruin it, but also I started this. Why would I let anybody else take all the money?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's such a delicate thing.
So I'd say by like 2005, 2006, now I had a Saturday night residency at like the main club downtown, which was M Bar at the time. Then I get the hottest new place to open was called the Drake, which was down the other end of Washington. That was the first real hot club on Washington, was the Drake, and then.
And what is that by that Houston building or like?
It's by B&B Butchers over that end.
What is
down Gus's Fried Chicken end.
Of Washington?
Yeah.
Okay, so like kind of where I used to live by that Target at the old spot.
Yeah,
and all that.
And
down there. Sawyer. In fact, where that kind of crawfish or seafood places on the sports bar.
There's one of those at every corner out here.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, but then a place called Knox opened at the other end, which became Aura. And then where Sporting Club is now, that was called 8. And then there was another place called Rain, which is nothing now, I don't think. But 3 new places all opened around the same time, and they killed Drake. But then that moved everything to the other end of Washington, which is
now
where it's been since. And then just as everything was dying on that end, because it died once, it completely died, Kung Fu decided to open.
Kung Fu, bro?
Kung Fu opened just as everybody was leaving.
See, now, I haven't been here long enough to experience this, but everyone tells me that the ecosystem here is like, people are at Washington Street, but be careful because they might just switch and go to Midtown.
It will.
And when it happens, be ready because, you know, and that's coming from Chicago, it doesn't work like that because everything's zoned. So it's like, this is this scene, this is this scene. It's been that since the 80s, you know what I'm saying? But like everyone knows, if you go to Wrigleyville, you're going to get this. If you go to fucking West Loop or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Everything has their
You're seeing it now with West 20th, you know, like...
the Heights,
Yeah, I mean, there was like 1 or 2 spots there for a while, and now they're
everything is like fucking...
It's so...
more is
what happens is, as you may have noticed, well, there's levels of hood in Houston. Houston's hood, period, but then there's levels, you know.
Yeah, the hood is baked into the culture of the city.
Yeah.
So when the hood rolls up, you don't want to be there.
We call that white flight. Unfortunately, that's the term, and that's what happened in the 60s.
So, you know, I haven't been working down Washington for a few months now, but it was getting that way. It generally doesn't bounce back quickly. So my guess is it could be moving to West 20th, but it can be something random. They could open a club next door here. And that'll be the hottest thing. Yeah. And everyone will want to be there.
And then everyone starts putting shit there.
So there's no... it's kind of... I mean, I used to work for the Red Door guys, and their thing was, as soon as you open... In Houston, as soon as you open your new venue and it's hot, you start planning the next one. As soon as that. You know, because...
Strike while the iron...
It's a short... it's a short... term life here.
Yeah, well, I think anywhere like a nightclub to be open more than 5 years is like, whoa, that's like, an OG.
Well, like in Chicago, they're in the same building. They'll just remodel,
and
new
then
owners,
revamp,
new management, new name.
Here, the whole scene moves, and then
Yeah.
that's crazy.
So
In Chicago, there's the liquor licenses. I mean, Chicago is notoriously, crooked in terms of how the city's operated and all that. And you have your liquor licenses, and then there's late night liquor licenses that are only
grandfathered.
so many are available. They don't make new ones.
Yeah.
They nix that out, but they kept the ones that are grandfathered in, and then those are attached to the building themselves.
Yeah.
So that establishment will always be a late night spot. It can never move. It can never be anything else. It'd be a waste of that liquor license.
yeah.
Yeah, it's different.
In a way, I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's great. No, it's great because you always know where the spots are.
And then you can't have these neighbors moving in and saying,
unfortunately, for Bottled, we had a fucking whole team against us. I think really it was because they didn't like the fact that Bottled was an Arizona company coming to Chicago and doing good, but I digress. That's a whole nother, another thing. But even the liquor license in that building came from Sushi Samba, which was there before. And so, fucking idiots.
Yeah. And I definitely want to talk about CL as well. Because you're involved with that, right?
Yeah,
I saw you when they were open
That's
and
the new
everything.
hotspot.
That's the new hotspot, and that concept is the new concept.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What can you tell me a little bit about?
So I worked for the Clay Group for 7 years. I was pretty happy there. I mean, you work for anyone, you're gonna have find little things to be annoyed about. But in general, I was pretty happy.
I can name a lot if we want to name them.
I wasn't necessarily looking to move. These guys had reached out to me a while back, last March, and then they were like, we want to talk to you about this place we're opening. And then one of them rolled up to Heart one. I was doing this museum gig, and I was playing all this kind of cool, like, not lounge, but like deep house stuff. Background. It was nobody's trying to dance or anything. And he comes to Heart one night, and he's like, "Why the fuck are you playing this music? Did they make you play this?" I was like, "No, I actually like it." So then I think he was pissed off. I never heard from him again.
Yeah.
So he probably was like, "On this fucking guy."
Yeah. What were you playing at Heart? But hip hop?
I mean, like. But like,
and he was expecting
I liked playing the. I'm complaining about Washington being hood, but I like playing the hood shit.
The hood shit is fun.
When people are going off to it, it's a good time.
The 42 dog and what have you.
Yeah.
I'm not really feeling, Travis Porter at this point. Like it's like
that's the new 50 Cent in the club.
Yeah. I don't want to. If that's, I'm gonna hate myself if I would be playing that all night. But then randomly I hear from him again, and they're like, "We want to talk to you." And I'm actually talking to someone else about this other French DJ guy I know, and I'm like, I'll go talk to him and tell him about this guy. I think he'd be a really, from what I understand what they're doing, I think he'd be a good fit. And I go and I'm talking to this guy up and like, "No, we want you." And I was like, "Well, I'm not looking for anything right now. I'm happy." And start talking numbers. He started talking like silly numbers, but I made that mistake before. I've gone for the silly number gig.
You took the bait
and got fucked over 2 months later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not about that. They're like, "Well, go away, think about it. Got any questions? So I think about it, talk it over. I guess the timing was right. It sounded like a cool new concept.
What exactly is the concept if you had to break it down for somebody who didn't know?
Part of the training was they flew me to Miami to see. I mean, Bizou was kind of, what the Bizou was trying to achieve, this kind of thing. But seeing it in full flight in Miami,
Is it like the Kiki on the River kind of vibe?
well, Marion is the place they really based off. A place called Marion in Brickell.
Okay.
I went into my I was blown away by what I saw at Marion. Like it started off for 2 hours. I know a lot about music. For 2 hours, okay, I didn't know. I only knew one record this DJ played.
Oh.
I'm like, this is not gonna work in Houston.
Yeah.
This is not gonna happen.
What kind of music are we talking about? House?
Very, very Tulum, and we're talking like 105, 110 BPM, Tulum, deep. You know,
now we're talking, baby.
Like that. I don't know if you PAX, PAAX, but there's organic house, they call it. It's all over beatport, but it's just like, it's good.
Yeah.
But it's like you cannot play it really. You cannot play it in Houston. So I'm like, this ain't gonna work. But then it's like it like the thing is they're building this energy slowly. And then the next thing you know, it's full on. And he's not playing, I mean, he had some Fisher sort of like edits, commercial, you know, but really he's not playing a lot of, you know, like the headliners edits or anything like that. It's mostly all original stuff. And of course he's in Miami. They have the luxury of having, you know, tourists coming in, you know, every weekend, but the vibe in this place was unbelievable. I did not want to leave. I got there at 8 and left at 2, and I only had to leave because the people I was with were
ready to go to 11.
Well, they were, the liquor had run out, and they were like, they wanted to go, and I had the Airbnb key, and I was like, if I give these guys the key, I'm gonna be
able to get in.
sleeping on the street. So, but I did not want to leave, and so
6 hours. That's a long run. I'll be honest. For me to be in a place for 6 hours at my age, it's difficult.
Well, here's the thing, I'm only assuming because this is what I have seen of CL and these concepts that are coming up that I think are the next wave in this industry is like, it's a dinner party, right?
Yeah.
You go there for dinner,
Mm-hmm.
you're sitting there eating, drinking, this guy's playing cool music, and slowly but surely he's raising the energy, and then they do like a show at a certain time, right?
Yeah.
Midnight
So
or whatever.
there's a live singer. They brought her from Miami, and she'll do like Whitney Houston covers and nail it. I mean, she like sometimes I get goosebumps sometimes.
Do you play the Whitney backing track, or does she do a freestyle it over?
No, she has the instrumentals that I play, and so it's for sure you get people coming in for a couple hours and bouncing, but the concept is. And you're right. I mean, this in Miami, there's so many of them. There's they just opened another one this past week.
In Chicago, that's the hot spot right now too. Lyra is the same thing. People go there for dinner, and then at midnight or 12:30, they play some specific Greek house track. That
So
goes
it's almost like
sparklers.
Is it almost like it's an event? Like you want to be instead of bar hopping and going somewhere for 20 minutes and going to the next one.
Yeah.
The idea is to like experience this whole.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yes.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Especially for a DJ, because that's like everybody's dream, right? To really properly build a room. Like in the open format clubs, and at least in the places we play, obviously not this one, but we have to just butt fuck the audience, so to speak. You know, you can't like make love to them. Like there was always like that
baby.
thing. You know, it's like people are coming in and we want to keep them, so just give them as much as you can and don't stop. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a real true DJ set should be sculpted to like build energy and progress and get to that crescendo, and then maybe take them where you want to take them. But like for people that say, hey, you have my attention for the next 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
Take me somewhere. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah.
I hope that's the new future.
That's what it seems like to me. It feels like when the hybrids started coming out in the nightclubs, where like people were like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." The Bottle Blondes, the El Jefes, all that.
Yeah.
It's like you can eat there. It's more relaxed. It's a different vibe. It's a different thing, but you're still getting to party. That's what this feels like to me. It's this new concept. Like there's nothing to really compare it to. You know, when I think about partying pre-COVID, I have something to compare it to compared to now. Now I'm like, this sucks. It used to be so much more fun because I've been in these places, these nightclubs, these hybrids, these same things, same parties, same people. This is something new, and it's uncomparable to the past. So it's fresh.
Could be something to bring the DJ back to the forefront of the celebrity, or of not just the celebrity, but of the importance of a true DJ.
Yes.
Because you can't just go in and play Travis Porter
Yeah.
until everyone dances.
Yeah.
You have to really do your research, build your set, program it correctly. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a very
Now
refreshing
the last hour I'm playing Bad Bunny and whatever, but
the idea that people
building-
arrive
But it's only an
for
hour.
the build. That's what I'm saying. And the idea that people are arriving with the understanding of this, and they're not coming up. I'm sure you probably get people that don't understand the concept yet, but they come up and say, "We play Bad Bunny at fucking 11 o'clock."
Oh, yeah.
But the idea that people are starting to like
at 8.
understand that it's like we're here, we're gonna get that, but
Yeah.
like for now, let's enjoy our company,
Yeah.
let's enjoy the vibe, and just ride that wave. That's
So it doesn't work every night, but when it works, it's so I'm doing it 4 days a week, 6-hour shifts. So
is that exhausting?
it was, but now I'm
Getting used to it.
because the clubs. I mean, especially post COVID. I mean, people are rolling up at 12:30.
Yeah.
And you get an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of retrain, but I really enjoy that 8 to 10 bit where I kind of keep it sexy and I'm building. I might go in and I'm starting at 105 and I'm building to 120 and I get to play some really cool stuff and shout out SoundCloud, man. SoundCloud is unbelievable.
It's really made a
It's a
resurgence.
resurgence.
Yeah.
It's I find absolute gold on SoundCloud.
Now, how do you dig on SoundCloud?
So let's say, okay, Miley Flowers. Let's throw that as an example. I mean, there's a million remixes right now, but let's say it just come out, or you're not feeling, you're looking for a Miley Flowers remix, and you go on SoundCloud. You're looking at initially you're looking, when on the desktop version, when you look at the timeline, when you see millions of little emojis, it means a lot of people. The feedback
Have been forced to comment on it.
there's that too. But it's at least it's a signal. Hey,
Yes,
this track is getting attention.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, if you find one, and even like you said, there's no guarantee, but if you find one, wow, okay, this is the shit. I found this Harry Styles As It Was. Fucking epic. I don't it's my secret weapon.
Do you know?
I can't tell you who.
Okay.
Don't leak it. Don't leak
Who are some producers that you've discovered recently through SoundCloud that you think are really to be watched?
Well, I'm really feeling a lot of the Afro house stuff.
Are there any producers that you could think of that?
Well, he's big, but Themba, he's really big. Mujo, he's big. The Mujo did a Moth to a Flame Swedish House Mafia weekend. And that's the kind of stuff I'm playing at 10. Really beautiful, but building. I'm not trying to get in and out of a song in 2 minutes.
Right. Now, are these tracks that have breakdowns and stuff in them, or are they kind of just a vibe?
But it's a restaurant, so I'm not worried about clearing the floor. Now I am later. I'll kill the party if I play the wrong song at 12 or 12:30 for sure.
Because I at Paris Club used to kind of be like that. That was kind of like the thing I would do downstairs, which then I was playing more like disco house and Italo disco shit. But I was always so afraid of those breakdowns because when you're playing it at a moderate volume in a room of people chilling, they just think the song ended and that there's no music playing. And you're like, this is not how this is.
You want to know?
At a festival, it's cool because everybody's like, oh, what's happening?
Yeah.
But in a different...
My secret trick for those moments is the 3/4 echo.
Oh, okay.
The 3/4, just you can play with it. Sometimes a little, sometimes a lot, but that really those softer, breakdown parts in the middle. It really gives them a little oomph.
Yeah, it's got a little swing to it.
So I use that a lot. Again, it depends on the point in the evening, but so SoundCloud, I find one. Then over on the right-hand side, it says something like, people also listen to, or people also liked, or something. If you find one, they're like, wow, this is hot. Guaranteed, go over there. You just struck gold.
Yeah.
You're going to find 3 or 4 more.
Yeah. SoundCloud's been big. I need to...
What do you like to use to rip from SoundCloud, or how do you get them? Because a lot of times they don't give a download.
Yeah, most of them do the you go give me your social security number,
Spotify,
apply this fucking email list.
But and it says follow all 8 of us on Instagram.
Here's my problem. On my computer, I don't have like access to my Instagram and Facebook necessarily. So it's like you have to log into your Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck is my Facebook password?
Yeah.
Shit. I should just program this in here.
So I just click on them. The windows open up, but I don't follow anyone. And just, I think the Spotify thing, it does. I've gone in there and I've gone up my playlist. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
It fucks your shit up.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I've gone into my Spotify and all of a sudden I have all these new liked tracks and things.
Yeah, all my
algorithm.
playlists are like buried underneath it sucks. But what are you gonna do?
But
it's free.
But
free, it's me.
Or unless they make you go to their Bandcamp and pay for it there, which is a lot of people.
Yeah. I don't. I mean,
support them.
Yeah, exactly. I'll throw people a bone. I'll throw them a dollar
if it's a good one. But when you're in the I found this one guy like Luciano something or other, and I went on his Bandcamp, and then he had like a special. He's like, because like I loved all of his remixes, and then I was like, well, fuck, I could buy his whole fucking 100-song crate for like $100, and. It felt kind of rewarding. I felt kind of good. I felt like I was doing, like, you could tell, like, he doesn't get a lot of people doing that. So he, like, sends me an email. Thank you so much. He's from Argentina or whatever.
You just paid my rent for a year.
Exactly. So I'm like, it felt good. It felt good. And it's a write-off.
It's dope.
So.
And it's a write-off. A lot of write-offs in the DJ
tax
game.
season.
A lot of
every week I'm like, I'm gonna do it this week, and I'm like, I'm busy, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up.
It's tax season, baby. It's that dark cloud. It's that weight on your shoulders.
Yeah,
it's the worst time of the year, bro.
I hate it. What can you do?
Yeah.
I think this has been a great episode.
It's been a fantastic episode. Thank you for joining us. I mean,
I tune in. I always follow what you're doing, and
you always have good insight. Yeah. Good insight.
And likewise. I mean,
thank you.
Appreciate that. So. We don't normally get to talk music this much.
Yeah.
And it was very refreshing.
One thing I'd like to point out about back in the day, and I'm not a back in the day nostalgia person at all, but the record stores, the camaraderie that came from that, from meeting, your peers, discussing ideas, tracks. Whatever.
Yeah, I remember going in gramophone and like being next to another artist or a DJ that you look up to, and you're like, holy shit, and you strike up some conversation, like, oh, that's a great record. You know what I'm saying? And like, that community, you can't recreate that online.
Yeah,
that's dope. I have one last question actually, because this is something that I'm struggling with, and Dolo's trying to help me out, being that he's experienced it multiple times. He says the cycling anal sex he's definitely experienced a couple times. The cycling of of the times of the music, right? So right now, everything that I deemed corny, everything that in my mind I wrote off as corny and I would never play again,
2010s pop music
is hot. Is hot fire. And
the Jason Derulo's.
He says he's seen this before.
Yeah,
he's gone through this before.
I think it's maybe more extreme now. I mean, for sure, cycle. I mean, when I was first getting into music, I was a punk rocker when I was a kid. Then I started digging a little deeper. Got really into 60s garage bands from America and psychedelia. So I had a fascination with music from 20 years prior. And I wasn't alone. I'm not saying that was a normal thing, but there was a bunch of us that felt the same way. But this thing now where, I think we went through it before, where people wanted to hear like Britney and Christina Aguilera and No Scrubs and the late 90s stuff. But I have this theory that, so look at, it's 2023 now. Let's say you got a 21-year-old girl in the club right now. What were they listening to in middle school?
Exactly.
Okay? If you can play something that they were listening to with their friends in middle school, you're going to get a reaction.
Even if it wasn't good, it just hits that nostalgic note in their brain, and they're like, oh, I remember being at a slumber party or a school dance or whatever.
Yeah.
The fuck was.
Yeah.
So I did a party not long ago, and they wanted to talk to me about the music, and they had a playlist in mind, and I was like, yeah, send it over, let me look at it. And it was all T-Pain, Flo Rida, Katy Perry, Justin Timberlake, Nelly Furtado.
Did you block their number after they sent it to you?
And I was like, okay, well, I guess
How much?
I don't have to download any of this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it all. I got the edits.
I just have
the
to
remixes.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. Well, unfortunately, I lost a lot of my shit when I first moved here. I got my bag stolen, and I lost a lot of the. Because I wish I could go back. Because how Serato keeps your playlist history.
Yeah.
I just go back to something I played in 2010 and fucking just have my history, but that's gone now. Fuck
Yeah. Unfortunately.
So-
But yeah, I mean, that is right. That is correct, because that's what you're doing with an older song, is bringing up a memory. It's reminding somebody of like, damn, me and my brother used to bump this, or me and my girls, before we went to prom. This is what
Exactly.
we were pre-gaming to.
I have more tolerance for that than these random running up the hill type shit that on TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
I'm not a maybe if I was a TikToker, I could. I can't. I just
Thank
can't.
God you're not, because you're one of the few. You're
Hey,
one of the
man.
few.
Yeah, I've tried. I've looked. I'm like,
It's blood curdling cringe, and I don't understand what's a macro psychological perspective of humanity, how we ended up here. But I just hope that
we
this.
talked about this last episode. It's
Yeah,
China.
it's China for sure.
It's China.
We're fucked.
They've entered our brains. They're changing who we are. They're trying to take over from the inside, and it's working.
It's working. It's
hey, I got a quick question for you. Someone said it to me, and I was like, I dismissed it. But I just saw earlier today, David Guetta did this rave edit thing with an Eminem rap that he created through some AI.
Oh,
website.
I've heard of this.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, he could have Eminem saying, "I really love taking it up the butt."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can do it.
I saw,
Which is a little scary.
I saw a Donald Trump interview.
Because I almost think like online now, we are arguing with robots. Like I'm not sure we're really arguing with humans anymore.
There's
So
a lot of bots. There's
yeah,
a lot of bots.
I try not. I just try to, don't even go there.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody mentioned, you know what? It's just a matter of time before the old DJs are being replaced.
Well, yes. Okay. I think that could have already been done years ago.
Yeah.
Because that is
it was threatened.
Yeah, that's a much more elementary.
Club owners would love it.
Yeah, club owners will love it. But here's the problem, and here's where I think we're good for now. Okay, is that sculpting a room just based off of the music we play? Of course, you can do that. But like understanding that there's an energy in the room that there's no said place where it's coming from, right? There might be a night that's just an off night, and those Travis Porter records aren't working, right? What can an AI do? How could it detect that? Well, movement in the crowd if you set up cameras. Sure, one day, yes, right?
Well, you've got, for example, in a space of 15 minutes, you have 75 people enter the room, and they've all listened to Jimmy Cox on their Spotify in the past 24 hours.
That's scary. Yeah, and the fact that it could read that and communicate that, wow.
Yeah.
It has access to this info we don't have.
Yeah,
it has all that info, but my whole argument with the AI is that it doesn't think. It can't think for itself. You can give it all of the information in the world, but how do you get it to use it according to the feeling in the room? There is a feeling.
Yeah, there's energy.
An undoubtable, undeniable feeling in a room that we are feeding off of and curating at the same time.
What if there was sensors under the dance floor?
It's seeing on camera, and it's
I think motion sensors could say, okay, yeah, and I do believe it could happen one day. But I'll give you another example, okay? When you hear a DJ, right, and let's say they use sync button, you don't know they're using sync button, but you're in the crowd and whatever, everything's perfectly mixed, and it's all kind of feels flat. until you get that little scratch or that like Strategy likes to say, he scratches because it adds that human element, and you know there's a DJ playing. That feeling of knowing there's someone curating this live versus once it gets to the point where it's like, oh, there's a computer in here reading what we want. That's cool, but that's kind of fucking weird. Yeah. It's like you're still gonna play it to hear a live concert, right? Even though you could listen to it on Spotify, because you want that human element.
You need the human element. We need it. We are humans. It's part of us. It's something that like
you're not gonna fuck you could fuck a sex bot.
Yeah,
and that'd be
and
nice.
I will
one
day, but it's not.
You wouldn't have to take it out to dinner and listen to it or anything. But you kind of want to, the human element.
You need it. I don't think
the only thing is you can unplug them when you're done.
Well, that's the beautiful part.
There's a lot of perks to a sex bot, believe me. But
that's the beautiful part.
I think personally, I'd feel a little.
Yeah, I mean, this is the AI conversation is like such a standard conversation now. I feel like I need to do more studying and research.
Well,
on,
it's
what
exponentially
the fuck it really is.
grown in the last year. I think.
Yeah.
A lot of the things that we're like, well, one day AI is going to do this, and we're like, oh, okay, yeah. But now it's like we're seeing it.
I'm the same. Like, I was told years ago we're going to be replaced by computers and playlists, and it never happened. None of it ever happened. But when I watched that Facebook expose with ex-employees, and where the top, whatever engineers, scientists behind, they're actually scared because these things are learning at a much faster rate than they planned for.
Well, even
and they're becoming smarter than us.
Yeah. God damn, I always forget his
They're
name.
definitely smarter, but they don't have chutzpah. They don't have a soul.
That's true.
Like who wants to talk to the smartest person? Who wants to hang out with the smartest person in the world, but like has no connection to him? Like what keeps you in a room? It's the connection to somebody or everybody else.
To play a devil's advocate, though, on what you're saying, because I agree with you. But think about this. Would you rather go to a library and talk to a librarian about finding information, or would you rather just go on Google for the convenience factor and type it in and get your answer?
Is she hot?
Well.
Yeah, but we're not talking about convenience. We're talking about...
Well, that's what it's going to boil down to. That AI is all about convenience, or we see it. But here's the argument.
In certain aspects, yes. In a library, yes. You're not going to a library to blow off steam or to meet somebody or to let
some people,
loose.
That's some people's hobby is reading, right? And you read what? To become more intelligent, have more experiences that you don't really get in real life, or understanding, whatever the reason is, right? But that's still a recreational thing.
Yeah.
But the argument will be, well, you could watch a movie, right? So yeah, it goes both ways. I guess I'm contradicting myself here a little bit, but my biggest fear is that this new generation, right? They're almost brainwashed because they'll be like, because I used to always bitch about the kiosks. I'd be like, why the fuck are we just going to these kiosks, using it ourselves? Because that's someone's job.
Yeah.
Rather than, and they're like, well, they should have went to school and learned how to program computers and they'd have a job. I'm like, yeah, well, that's one person programming all these fucking 100 kiosks. It's simple math to realize we're fucking ourselves here. Like, ultimately, we're fucking ourselves. And at what cost? So that the company can make a little bit more dollars. You know what I'm saying? That they invest in these kiosks and they don't have to pay employees. But that doesn't necessarily translate to the food being cheaper that we buy, right?
Right.
So we're really the ones being played here. And I think that same philosophy that these companies are using, all companies are going to use, because the nature of the beast of the business is to maximize profit.
I'm ready. You know what? I want that to happen. I want these nightclubs to say, hey guys, thank you for doing this for the last 100 million years. Now we have AI here. We're going to use them. You can go back to school and study criminal justice. I'm going to go start my own party, and that's where fucking people are going to go, because there's not going to be an AI DJ. It's going to be a real person, and people are going to go there and they're going to be like, holy shit, look at this dude. This dude's doing what the AI could do.
I could
how
see
did you learn how to do that?
For the first, because it's cool and different, and everybody be like, oh, AI, that's an AI club.
Thriller video.
Yeah, or like somebody going to see Tupac as a hologram. Fucking stupid as fuck. But people did it, right? They were excited at Coachella to see that.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a quick novelty and it'll wear off. And I would hope to believe that, we'll still have a job.
I don't know. There's a lot of things. I have a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of things that scare me, especially about this job itself. This is not one of them. Yeah.
One quick thing, because I've been hating on Houston.
Yeah. We never really got to the point where you fell in love with it.
I love Houston.
Yeah.
I love Houston. It took a while.
Was it
still ugly. Still ugly.
Yeah, for sure.
But there is a soul here, and like I mentioned, like around year 3, I think I found a community that I've started to feel more of a part of. I got over the one thing I didn't like about Houston. There was no like one area where everybody goes. Like there's not like a
spread out. It's
like. I mean, if there is, the Galleria?
Yeah.
On the side of the
my people.
Yeah.
Not where I want to go.
Yeah, but it's like, where is the center? Where do people go and, like, go for a walk? In Chicago, you got the waterfront. And
whatever.
Yeah, wherever. There's not that here, and that's what used to really upset me.
Yeah.
I'm past that now. I wouldn't want to be in Austin now.
Have you been to the city center here?
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's all right.
It's a faint attempt at a place to.
Yeah,
but it feels very programmed.
I love how, and I've heard you mention this before, how mixed everything is. How generally everybody sort of gets along with each other.
Yeah, I don't. I think that the beauty of a city is having like the diversity, but not diversity like blended. Having, can I say this?
You could say whatever you want, my boy.
You can edit it out. If it's really bad, we'll just.
Yeah, I guess we're not live anymore. No, segregation created these beautiful communities that are rich in culture, right?
Yes.
Like little Koreatown or whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? I know if I go to Uptown, there's a Vietnamese neighborhood, or I know where the African neighborhood is, or where even the Jamaican neighborhood. I know all these things in Chicago. In Chicago, in Houston, it really, other than Bel Air, right? Everything is just kind of mixed, which is a beautiful thing. We can all get along, and we should be able to get along. But I think that like it also like waters everything down. It whitewashes everything, so to speak.
Yeah, there's definitely validity to that for sure. There's something nice about going to
Humboldt Park and seeing Puerto Ricans play drums in the middle of the park.
Yeah,
like that shit's dope. I miss that. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, they might be. You might go to some park like out in Humble or something, and they might be there. I don't know. I don't spend much time
I live
in
in
Humble.
Jersey Village, and it's the same shit out there.
It's so spread out that there may be shit happening that that you might not be aware of.
I guess
like there was like a weird punk club down in Clear Lake. I've never been to it. I've seen pictures of it. Like it's punk rock club where people.
But I think that kind of goes into what he's saying though, is that it's harder to find when everything's
because
mixed.
you don't know where it's at.
Exactly.
Because it's a little pocket.
When everything is segregated or separated, you're like, I want to go get a good ass banh mi. I'm going to Uptown.
Yeah.
Whatever it is,
or all the Mexican food on 18th Street or 26th Street even.
Yeah.
Like I miss that. Jewtown. Even though I think it got its name differently, but if you want good Jewish food, you're gonna go to what? What's it, Montrose?
Well, it used to be Devon. But the Indians took over.
That's for sure.
I don't even know what Jewtown would be anymore.
Well, the original Jewtown was Roosevelt, but I think they called it Jewtown because you could buy anything.
Which is where Manny's is, right?
No, well, it's right where Maxwell Street is. So that
Manny's is right over there.
Yeah, I guess that's on the other side.
Yeah.
There. But yeah, it's in that same area. I remember going there back in the day, and then it was just nothing there. Just that little Polish sausage stand, and just everybody selling pornos and fucking socks and candy or whatever the fuck. You know what I'm saying?
It was the Maxwell Street flea market, right?
Yeah.
I got a question. Forget about COVID and everything, but standard of living. Do you think it's easier to have a standard of living here than in Chicago?
Yes,
or is it about the
absolutely.
same?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's cheaper here.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
For the price of like a small 2-bedroom apartment, you can have like a house with a pool and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice. That's for sure a perk. And that's why I don't hate Houston as much as he does, because I have the wife and kid and dog, and so we can have like a nice standard of living
Well, I mean, that was the other thing when the whole hustle town mentality. There being so many immigrants here that have come with nothing, literally with all their worldly possessions in plastic grocery bags, but. If you want to grind it out and make it happen, it seems like this is the place, and I do like that about it.
But I don't see a lot of hustle here. I know the term hustle town, and I know especially within the rap culture, like we hustle H-Town hustlers. But I'm like, people like move so slow. I'm like, how do you hustle? What do you?
Not...
And let me be frank here, from a business perspective, they don't really get it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, how the fuck do you not understand you're doing this wrong? You know what I'm saying? And it's not just a different way of doing it, but it's like people are just very complacent here. And in my experience, now don't get me wrong, I have definitely met hustlers who are, have their own company, even if they're selling aroma, essential oils, whatever. There are hustlers. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I've met people that have a business mind.
Yeah.
But in the whole, especially in nightlife, seems like a lot more hype here than hustle.
More hype than hustle. It feels like.
All right.
But
Good perspective.
For sure. And shout out to Houston. We love you, everyone watching. We don't really, we're just giving our perspective.
A couple guys
and
talking.
everybody should be allowed to have their own perspective.
Yeah, and listen, I'm looking for it to click. Your third year.
It's gonna happen.
Your third year.
But when you're not looking,
That's what I'm saying. And
maybe you need to take a long walk, and you'll stumble across love or something that's gonna make you.
Well, I'm ready for love. I'm looking for love.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find it. What did you say earlier?
No, you won't find no serendipity on your couch. Now the mate.
Well, we're sitting on a couch, so
there you go.
There could be an exception to the rule, but no, I think maybe that's what you need to do. Strategy.
Yeah,
get out there and do a little soul.
Go for long walks.
Enjoy the city,
especially in July and August.
I definitely need to do a better job at accepting it because I am choosing to stay here.
Yeah,
as much as I am.
You do own a home back in Chicago.
Blow my brains out and jump off the balcony. I am choosing to stay here, so it would benefit me to just accept it and be present and enjoy it while I am here. So I get it. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you very much for joining us. It was a great episode. We definitely got to talk more. A lot of the music stuff went over my head because
somebody watching don't get it.
Just listening to
I've got it and I loved it.
No, it was amazing. But I enjoyed watching you guys. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is we were hanging out with Big Once and Apollo, just DJs chopping it up, talking shit. Like that's the best part about this job.
It brings you back to like realize that the other people out there that obsess about music.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
Because not to get going too much again, but like we said, it's like it's harder to connect with the newer generation DJs because they understand the business perspective of it and they understand like what's hot and cool and hip, but they don't necessarily obsess over music. And it's just a different time. But that's
great. It's great. Thank you guys for watching. Drop a comment if you're on YouTube. Like the video. Subscribe. Follow Little Martin.
Yeah, somewhere.
It'll be, Ding. We could we'll put you went like this. We'll put like a dick in your hand or something.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.